Hey there, it's Jason from Codemanship with another rookie mistake video. In today's video, I want to talk about dependencies. Now, to illustrate what I'm going to be talking about, I've got some legacy code here. This is the legacy guitar shack exercise in C sharp. I'm going to post a link to the repo in the description below if you want to have a crack at this yourself. Um, Now, I won't go into too much detail about what this code is doing, but basically, its job overall is to send an alert to the store manager if a product needs restocking, because we keep losing sales because we keep running out of stock. Every product has a lead time, the number of days we'd have to wait for more stock, and our goal is to calculate how many we would need to have in stock so as not to run out during that product's lead time. So we fetch the product data from an external web service for the warehouse. We calculate a date range over which we're going to figure out what the average number of sales per day of that product is. We then fetch the total number of sales over that date range. And then finally, we do a little calculation and we decide whether or not we've actually hit the restock level for that product and therefore need to order more. And if we do, we send an alert. Now, this is a big ball of mud. And if I wanted to unit test this, I've got a bit of a problem, which is those external dependencies, the warehouse web service and the sales system web service. So I might refactor this code to extract out some of those responsibilities. For example, to extract out the responsibility for fetching the product data. And we look at a refactored version of this. You will see now that there's a separate class that does that work. And we don't need to know how we're fetching the product data. So we could, for example, stub it in a test, just hard code some product data for a unit test. Now, when I do this kind of refactoring, developers will often say, but Jason, you've introduced a new dependency. Now, if we were to look at a class diagram of the original stock monitor code, you can see that it's pretty straightforward. And after the refactoring, I have indeed introduced some new classes, and there are more boxes and more arrows on our class diagram now. And it looks from the diagram like we have indeed added dependencies to our code. But as you well know, appearances can be deceiving. Have we really added new dependencies? Let's go back and look at that original code. Now, there are, on a class diagram, arrows that show dependencies between classes, dependencies between modules, if you like. But what they don't show is the dependencies inside those modules. If I were to comment out, for example, this line of code that deserializes the product, then you can see a bunch of code further down breaks, code that is depending on that line of code. So the dependency was there the whole time. By extracting this warehouse class, and introducing an explicit dependency between two classes, an arrow between the boxes, what I'm really doing here is I am signposting that dependency. I'm making it explicitly clear that in order to determine whether or not we should send an alert, we need to fetch a product from the warehouse. Now, I'm a big fan of signposting dependencies. Like I said, dependencies between classes would show up in a class diagram, for example, but not the dependencies inside them. And I like my dependencies where I can see them. My ability to reason about software design at scale is founded on my ability not just to see the boxes in the design, but to also see the arrows between the boxes. If I can't see those arrows, it's difficult to reason about what the structure of the software is. So, you, as a developer, if you want to scale up your ability to think about and communicate software design, I highly recommend signposting these key dependencies so that each module is doing, one particular thing, is cohesive in the sense that it's all about fetching data from a web service, or it's all about calculating a date range, or it's all about getting the sales total for a date range, or it's all about calculating the restock level for a product, and so on and so forth. and then be able to visualize how these pieces of the jigsaw fit together in a modular way to be able to see the arrows between the boxes.